Welcome to Discovering. Waterfowl season is well underway here in the UP, and tonight I have some duck hunting action to share with you.
Hard to beat duck hunting. I love to deer hunt, but duck hunting, it's a lot more of a social sport.
And the Michigan Independence Hunt took place over the weekend, and I was fortunate to participate in a hunt put on by the Wheelin Sportsmen.
You know, you hear whispers of a 10 or a 12 pointer around, and it's like, all right, now you get the buck beaver. And
so sit back and relax. It's Monday night, and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone, forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak, surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields, call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Michigan's Independence Hunt took place this past weekend from October 16th through the 19th. It's a 4-day firearm deer season for persons with disabilities where they can hunt on private lands and some public lands requiring an access permit. Independence hunters can harvest one deer, either an antlered or an antlerless deer.
This is just for people with disabilities that have a permit, and doctor, physical therapist, occupational therapist fills out the paperwork, then it gets sent to Lansing. And once the doctor or therapist fills out the paperwork here, they meet the criteria, it's a done deal. They send it down to Lansing. They absolutely have nothing to say about it. They have to okay it and get it back. And they usually do a pretty good job on that, getting it back. And so that's good. Before there was all kinds of different things they had to go through, and it was terrible, but it's a whole lot better these days. So works out good. We have some people that are blind or legally blind and amputees, and the doctor or therapist fills out the paperwork, and they can go to a licensed distributor where you buy your hunting license. That's where they'll get their permit. It'll have the okay to print it out, and it looks just like a hunting license. Nice. And like tonight now, we can, with a buck license, you can shoot a buck or a doe, and so it gives a little flexibility. It's like, let's try to give them a little more opportunity. So we did.
Hunters with disabilities oftentimes can't do it alone and need extra help to pursue their passion for hunting. Wheelin Sportsmen of the UP is the Upper Peninsula chapter of a larger organization called Wheelin Sportsmen, a program of the National Wild Turkey Federation. This group provides hunting opportunities for hunters with disabilities and mobility impairments through specially designed equipment, access to hunting land, and volunteer assistance. I had the opportunity to sit in on a hunt and learn more about the organization from Ken Buchholz, who started the chapter here.
Back in 2007, I lost my kidneys and I ended up in a dialysis chair for 8 months. I met a guy in there, Bob Miller. He was 42 years old at the time, and he flipped his four-wheeler when he was 18. And he ended up being a quadriplegic. So we got to be friends, and he wanted to get back into hunting. And I had a shop. I used to work on all kinds of different things and that. So it's like, well, let's see if we can put something together. And actually, Mickey Salman, he was in a wheelchair from an accident, but he was a taxidermist, and he was good at putting things together. And Joe Wellman, they made a homemade unit. Say it bolted to the side of the wheelchair, and it had a spring on the lever that Bob would push on that thing, but sometimes the spring would have a little too much tension. And then we shot a couple turkeys, and we shot a couple deer, and we also blew the windows out of the blind a couple of times. So it's like, it's not like we're getting hazardous duty pay. We're all volunteers here. So
they started out years ago just making it work with what they had. and over the years, thanks to generous support, have built and obtained multiple blinds and adaptive hunting equipment.
We did a fundraiser and found this company called Be Adaptive Equipment, and so we ended up buying their equipment, and we had another fundraiser and bought some more, and so that's how we started. We didn't have nothing, but we had the desire to do it.
This Be Adaptive high quad shooting mount is designed to be used by people with no arm or hand use. Ken and Aaron showed me how it works.
Joystick, the way these things come from Be Adaptive, they're set up like this here, and this set up on a wheelchair. They set all their equipment up pretty much on a wheelchair, so the person can use their chin for this here for the joystick, and the sip and puff. Then we put a 4-foot hose on there because we get people, some quadriplegics that can't move in their chair, and we can put that hose right up to their mouth. And of course, they can see everything that's going on up here.
A high-definition camera attached to the gun scope feeds a 15-inch monitor on the wall, or a small monitor could be mounted to the gun that allows the hunter to aim.
This is the same switch that opens your trunk or hatchback when you push the button. So when you puff in, it opens a vacuum switch and pulls the trigger on the gun. Puff in on there once there. So we put that about a half an inch from the trigger, and you puff in on it like that, and it fires the gun. You know, we tighten it down here in this unit here for the stock.
We're locked and loaded and ready for a hunt. Hunting tonight is Brett Way.
Brett Way from Wells. I'm 36. A little bit about myself. I'm in the Wells Lions Club, Wells Township trustee. I'm on sale up in Marquette Superior Lions for independent living. Got a part-time job, full-time babysitter, seems like, niece, nephew. Yeah, I like hunting. So I have spinal muscular atrophy. It's a neuromuscular disease, so I was born with it. Been in a power wheelchair since I was about 5.
Brett has hunted with the Wheelin Sportsmen a few times with success, and hopefully we're successful again tonight.
I've shot a turkey, 1 buck. I think I shot 1 buck. So, yeah. Where we hunt up at camp in Arnold, that's pretty successful. So
Brett's been an avid hunter since he was a kid and has his own similar setup at his camp.
So I've been hunting since I was 12, and my blinds, as engineered as you can get with pulley systems, and my gun's on a swivel stand, and I use the sip and puff now like they have here, and yeah.
These blinds have plenty of room, so Brett's cousin Hunter could also be there, along with myself and Ken and volunteer Aaron Asplund. There's rumor of some big bucks in this area.
Well, I just heard rumors about a 10 or a 12 pointer, so I'll take either. I'm not gonna be greedy. I'll take either. Yeah.
We sat for a couple hours before seeing any deer.
Maybe about half dozen deer came in about 6:30, and something spooked them. They shot right out after about 5 minutes, and
I don't think something that's going on over here. Yep, they're all taking off.
they ended up coming back in pretty much just before dark, and kept thinking maybe the big one's coming behind them, but never showed up. So that's the way it goes. Yeah, that's hunting.
Even though Brett's hunt was unsuccessful, we still had a fun time, and Brett says he has some bucks on his camera at camp.
Not at my blind, my grandpa's blind. He passed away a couple years ago, but we still got his blind up, and just had a nice little basket 8 come in about a week ago. So might be a good one for my nephew. Be his first one maybe. So yeah.
How old is your nephew?
12.
I asked Brett how important the independence hunt is to him and other folks who need help getting out there.
And for others too, I think it's more. I know I'm in a little bit different situation where I have a camp and I do hunt. I've been hunting, and so the other people that don't have that same opportunity, I think it means quite a bit. And just for me, to be able to get out and you hear whispers of a 10 or a 12 pointer around, and it's like, all right, now you get the buck fever, and so yeah, it's nice. They do. I mean, Wheelin Sportsmen's been doing it for a long time, and people like Buck are just good people,
The Wheelin Sportsmen had about a dozen hunters they took out over the 4 days. Aaron Asplund sent me these photos of one of the successful hunts. Duck season begins September 24th in the UP and runs through November 20th with a couple extra days November 26th and 27th. I went right away in the season with John and Nate in hopes of a successful early start to the season. The first thing I learned about duck hunting is you have to get up early and set up way before sunrise. Goose season began a few weeks earlier, so they threw some goose decoys out in hopes of dropping a few of those out of the sky too. In my opinion, it's a beautiful, calm, warm morning to be sitting in a lake. Apparently that's not really good for duck hunting though. Because the lake was calm, our decoys floated unnaturally in the flat water and looked, well, like decoys. Have you ever seen a still duck? They haven't either. Wind would have created better action in the decoys, and ducks fly better in the wind, so I'm told. Thankfully, we did not leave home empty-handed.
Take them.
It was early in the season, and John promised he'd take me again on a cold, rainy day and we would shoot some ducks. Well, he did live up to that promise, and on a cold 40-something degree rainy morning, we went duck hunting again. This time we found a farm pond, and our other hunter today is John's dad, Mike.
Zero bottom to it. A little farm pond like this, you don't really need a lot of decoys. We can run 6 to 8, 10 decoys plus a mojo duck, and that's all you really need for this.
We had some ducks land on the pond right away and waited for good camera light. These ducks were most likely roosting in a pond down the road, and this is a pond they will stop at after daylight on their way to feeding ground.
Ready?
What I'm learning is that hunting ducks means you need to be an expert on them. Their habitat, when they move, how wind direction and speed will affect their flight patterns.
I thought he was going down, so I started swinging on another one.
I think 2 mallards in the deal.
Between flights of ducks, we talked.
Just about every day off that he gets, we're out on some water somewhere.
I feel now, though, that it's John that takes Mike hunting, but for years it was Mike taking John hunting.
Yeah, he'd come out from the time he's old enough to walk. I used to have to carry him up there on my shoulders because I had a camo shirt on him. And he'd be tripping on it, so I'd carry him up there on my shoulders. And the geese would start coming, and he'd tell me which goose to shoot. When John was a kid, I was never so happy when he finally learned how to hit something. We used to hunt the big fields the other side of the highway over there. And he'd shoot and miss. I'd go on a mile walk, kick him up. They'd go over his head. He'd shoot and miss. And I think that one day I must have put on about 5 miles walking around, kicking them up for him.
That was only one trip. That was a weird day. I was off my game that day.
How old were you?
6.
You're off your game at 6.
Good duck hunting weather.
Okay, coming around. Good shot. Maybe this time.
We kind of like to keep them within 25 to 30 yards with a modified choke. The 10 gauge with a full choke, you can reach out there pretty good. I can pretty much kill geese at 60 yards with a 10 gauge, but we probably should have had the 10 gauge on that last duck.
The daily bag limit is 6 ducks of any species. No more than 4 mallards, and only 2 of those can be hens. There are limits for other duck species that we're not hunting today. From where I sat, these ducks all look the same in the air. An experienced hunter knows every species, and there are 20 different duck species in Michigan.
Once you do it enough, it just kind of comes. I couldn't for years. That's where we shot a lot of fish ducks, mistaking them.
Young drakes a lot of times look like hens, but you can always tell by the bills. The drakes have green bills and the hens have brown. The young drakes there, they don't have the green head yet, so that's how you can tell them apart. These little guys, the spectrum on them, that's a green-winged teal, and this one is a blue-winged teal. You don't see many of these blue wings around. Most of the teal that we see are the green wings.
So this is my first duck hunting experience, well, second if you count our first day, and I'm learning how to film duck hunting as much as I'm learning about duck hunting. I missed some shots, could blame it on my freezing cold fingers, and I was trying to stay as still as possible before bringing my camera up at the last moment. Ducks have excellent vision. Because of the structure of their eyes, waterfowl can see 2 to 3 times farther than humans. So any movement, dark or colorful object is going to make them fly by over the reach of your shotgun. Ducks and geese can also see a much broader spectrum of colors, hence the need for all the camouflage from head to toe. We ended the day with a total of 5 mallards and 2 teal. Like all hunting, the actual shooting of wild game takes seconds, so we were unsure if we had enough good video for a story, so we went hunting again.
We have to hide the videographer. Between ground blinds for deer and duck blinds and goose blinds, I'm gonna go broke buying fence posts. Ready, Kristen? This one. I'm out of bullets. Take that. Oh. What are you doing that?
One got away. We had a limit of mallards by 9 a.m.
A couple double curls in there.
What are those?
The older they are, the curls on their tail.
Today I'm using a Winchester Super X3. I have a Winchester Super X2, a Winchester Super X3, and a Winchester Super X4. So a lot of times it's kind of a spur of the moment decision which one I want to bring. So I like the Winchesters. My dad's using a Beretta Extrema. Today I was using just Federal Blue Box number 3 steel shot. For ducks, I usually just run 3-inch. I got a lot of 3.5, but I almost like the 3-inch better. Doesn't beat you up as much.
I noticed John placed today's decoys to the left of the blind and not in front like the last time.
Usually the ducks will always want to land into the wind. They kind of didn't today, but they were pretty low coming over. But usually if there's a pretty good wind, we were supposed to have like a 15 mile per hour wind today. You usually set them so they have enough room so they can land into the wind and try and place them where you want them. So it actually would have been further off to have a blind on the other side of the pond today, but we made do and it worked out for us. Hard to beat duck hunting. I love to deer hunt, but duck hunting, it's a lot more of a social sport. You're drinking coffee in a blind before daylight and you watch the sun come up, watch the ducks cup up and come into the decoys. There's not much better than that.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.